afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. So, I wanted to talk about a couple things. I have been thinking for this whole entire time that Brian Laundre was connected to the Moab double homicide. And I know I'm not alone in thinking that. The thing is as much as I can connect him to the case, I really don't think that he is the one who did it. I really think it is the creepy guy that was camped near them that they told their friends about, and that creepy guy was not Brian. So we're going to talk about that. I also wanted to talk about Gabby's new cause of death, and I don't know why they didn't say that from the beginning, because it's now come out that her cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head and neck and strangulation. So why they only said that at first, I don't know. Then again, Brian wasn't found at that time, and so I think it is possible that they didn't say it because they were hoping to find Brian and see if he would admit to any of that, because I know a lot of times obviously they don't release all the details, because then you have people giving false statements and false confessions and whatever. But after he was found dead, I mean, I guess they were just waiting to tell us all at once. But I kind of thought that if he had something to do with the Moab murders, that it would say something about that in his notebook. And nobody has said that happened. Only that he took responsibility for Gabby. Also, now I have this whole spiel, okay? And we're going to go into it. So actually, I'm just going to shut my mouth and try to keep it to the end. You like this big whopper of a pimple that, like, no matter what cover-up and concealer I put on it, it's just not wanting to cover. So just deal with it. I forgot to cover it at all in my last video, so I was like, okay. So, all right, let's get into this. Let's get into the double homicide of Kylan and Crystal. Okay. So, Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner had just gotten married and were working while living at various campsites in and around Moab, Utah. Kylan worked at the Moonflower Co-op, and from all accounts, she was a great employee. She worked there for about 4 years, and according to her coworkers, she would always call in if she was going to miss a shift, but that was always a very rare occurrence for her to miss a shift, which is why they instantly were worried when she didn't show up for her shift on the morning of August 14th. So, Kylan Schulte was last seen with her wife, Crystal Turner, on the night of August 13th, 2021. They were at a bar with some friends. This bar was called Woody's Tavern. There is security footage outside of the bar, and it shows them leaving the bar at approximately 8:30 p.m. They had been complaining to their friends that night about a creepy guy that kept hanging around their campsite, and told their friends that they had even moved sites because of it, and that he intimidated them. Kylan had mentioned to her friends that if something happened to them, they were murdered, and that creepy guy is the one who did it. Now, what wasn't out at the time that I actually typed up this information is some things that he did. So I guess, because I always wondered, that's all they said? Like, didn't the friends push him? What do you mean murder? Like, what is this guy doing? You know? So there are some things that he was doing that they had mentioned. One, he was howling. And, howling, I don't know if it was at them or, you know, just howling, but I mean, he knew he was very close to them. And I'm sure that there's camping etiquette, right? If someone's there, you don't put your camp like where you're like too close, you know? But yeah, the guy was howling, and I guess Crystal would howl back at him. I mean, I would have too. So, like, okay, weirdo, I'll howl back right at you. So anyway, so that happened. So that's weird, right? And then also, there was the night of the 12th, which was the night before the 13th. I guess they had hammocks where they would sleep up in the trees some nights, and not in their tent. And this guy assumed they were sleeping in their tent. And so late, he came around and just basically like stood there and like watched their tent, like by their fire, like I maybe debating on going in. But they were up in the trees. So, and he didn't know. So, that is weird. That is really weird. And that would have scared me enough to make me move camps. So they said that they had. So I'm not sure if he followed them or what. If it were him that did this. Now, we don't know. So there are some suspects. We can talk about those. But on with the story. So, while no one has come out with the identity of this man, just a day earlier in the same area of Moab, Utah, a man by the name of Brian Laundre and his girlfriend, Gabby Petito, were stopped outside the Moonflower Co-op, where Kylan Schulte happened to be working that day, by police and separated due to a domestic dispute. Now, obviously, they were separated farther down the road after they left the Moonflower, but we'll just go on with this. So, they got in a fight outside the Moonflower, since Gabby was all upset and everything. He tried to lock her out of the van. Like, I talked about all this in my other video. So, just, he was being a dick, okay? I'm sorry, he was. She was clearly a panicked mess by the time they were pulled over. So, all right, instead of jumping all around here, let me follow my script. This is why I have a script, you guys. Okay. Since Gabby owned the van, she stayed with the van, and the police got Brian a motel room that was just about a 7-minute walk to the local tavern, which was Woody's Tavern. This is the same local tavern that Kylan and Crystal were last spotted at. Neither Kylan or Crystal called into work that day, or the next day, though both of them were no-shows, which was extremely rare, especially for Kylan. While allegedly the police went out there to look for them, they did not find them. On August 18th, the father of Kylan posted to his Facebook saying that no one had heard from the girls. Now, he considered them both his daughters. So no one had heard from the girls in 4 days. On August 17th, the same day that Brian flew home to Florida randomly by himself to move some things out of storage, family friend Cindy, this woman, Cindy, is friends with Kylan's family, Kylan's father. So she fought with herself all day, thinking that she needed to go up there and check herself. I mean, the girls hadn't been seen in 4 days. No one seemed to be finding out any information. So she was like, you know what? I really want to go up there, but it's far, and, you know, it was like an hour's drive from where she was, and she was initially reluctant to go because she always lost phone signal in that area. So she was afraid to go and, you know, something happened, and she doesn't even have phone service. But this day she was like, you know what? I'm going. So, she went South Mesa area of the LaSalle Mountains is, I guess, where they were camping. So Cindy found the couple dead in a creek behind their campsite. According to her, the campsite could be seen from the road, so it is unclear how much the police actually searched for the two women initially. So she drives up, she sees their campsite from the road, and she said she walked in and almost immediately saw one of the girls laying in the creek. And she even says she turned away, and it was like she was just hoping that when she turned back around, that wasn't what she actually saw. However, she found them both dead in the creek behind their campsite. They had multiple gunshot wounds and were undressed from the waist down. Wounds were located on their backs, sides, and chests, on both of them. So Cindy said what initially caught her eye was the fact that there was a bunch of Gatorade bottles lying around, which some might argue clears Brian Laundre because he said he doesn't drink out of plastic. Others may say it makes him a suspect because he hates the idea of plastic bottles. And, you know, maybe he's just like, you people in your plastic bottles, you think that you're hippies and all this whatever, but you're not. And we know this because he refused anything from the officers, Gatorade or water, because they were in plastic bottles, whereas Gabby, on the other hand, accepted the water, which he probably was pissed about. But he was spotted on surveillance with Gabby buying water that came in plastic bottles. His water bottle was a plastic water bottle. He eats his granola bars and that's in plastic. So I understand the plastic water bottle thing. A lot of people feel that way. It's unnecessary. And so fine, whatever. All right, we're not going to sit here and talk about fucking plastic water bottles. Okay. There was also a water bottle they carry. I talked about that. So she calls the police, and after the police were called about the women being found dead, they took over an hour to get to the scene, yet they were supposedly searching for these girls since they were reported missing. You know, so from August 18th, August 18th they were found, but from August 13th till then, they were supposedly searching for these girls. Whereas this woman drives up and finds them immediately. Honestly, it reminds me of the Brian Laundre's. Like, he was right there inside the gate. And he had been the whole time. If you believe that he's actually dead, which I do. Anyway. So, there is also the fact of the campsites. Kylan and Crystal, Brian and Gabby were within minutes of each other. Brian was reading a I can't say this guy's last name. Palahniuk. I can't say his last name. Novel, well, a few novels actually. And the book that he was reading was a book about a serial killer, a cross-country serial killer. So basically a guy traveling across the country, murdering people. So that's just kind of weird, you know. He was definitely into some really dark shit, you guys. And if you look more into him, you'll see his room, the paintings on the walls, lots of blood, lots of killing. Like it was almost like he had another side to him. That every once in a while he would actually maybe channel into, because as Gabby would say, he has these episodes, and where he would just almost like snap and just become a complete asshole, and it was like, no, dude, calm down, like just everything's cool. But anyway, so police seized a Kia Sorento from the campsite where the women were found, but also obtained a search warrant for a second vehicle, a 1987 Ford Econoline van that was left in a parking lot in Moab and towed. So let me explain that to you. So the Kia Sorento was their car. They also lived out of a van as well. They're van life people. So, and I guess they were staying, their van was parked, Crystal worked at McDonald's, and this van was parked in that McDonald's parking lot. So they would basically stay at the van during the week while they both were working, and then on the weekends they would drive up to campsites, and sometimes random, sometimes the same ones, whatever. They particularly kept going back to this one, even despite this guy, because they had a pet, like a bunny, that kept coming around, and it was like their pet. So that's what kind of kept them there at that campsite. So when they searched the vehicles, inside the van, they found a journal, a Bible, newspaper clippings, miscellaneous mail, and pay stubs for the 2 victims, as well as mail for a family member. One of the women notes, family member for one of the victims, notes with phone numbers and handwritten information. Some of the paperwork had info that they had a storage unit, and that was searched as well with consent of the family member who was listed on the card who helped pay for it. Currently, there's a $20,000 reward for any information about the case. Friends said that they were just beautiful girls inside and out, special people. They also said later, in regards to the creepy man, that the women were very down to earth and very loving and, very accepting. And it would have taken a lot for them to consider someone creepy. So they're not like, kind of girls. They're like, give you the benefit of the doubt kind of girls, real girls, And so for them to be creeped out by someone, this guy must have really fucking with them. So Grand County Sheriff's Office say that they believe someone killed them and then fled the area. A bullet as well as shell casings were found at the crime scene, but a weapon was not. So what is the link between the Moab couple and Brian Laundre? The Moonflower Co-op is the main link. We know that they were all there that day. So now if you're following this case, then you already know Brian and Gabby were fighting outside of this little store, and that this fight led to a couple of 911 calls and subsequently to them being pulled over, resulting in all that body cam footage that is so famous. But what a lot of people don't know is how long they were actually there at the Moonflower Co-op. This is a small store. It carries natural food items. Think like, I don't know if everyone has a Fruitful Yield or not. We have Fruitful Yields around here, or like little health stores, like the earthy little health stores where you can get. They maybe have like a smoothie area, and maybe and they have some health food, and they have some fruits and vegetables and whatever. Like a Whole Foods, but mini. Like a Trader Joe's, but mini. Okay, like a boutique of Trader Joe's, if you will, or Whole Foods. So, not a big place is what I'm getting at. It's small. So they carry natural food items. They carry, like the essential oils and, supplements and things like that. They also had a deli and a little place to sit down and chill, and eat or whatever. So, however, when I tell you they were there for between 5 and 6 hours, I mean, you need to wonder why. That is a long time to be at a place like that. I mean, even a mall, I don't think I can, I mean, I could, but I don't think I've ever spent 5 or 6 hours going through an entire mall. And I look like I can go to Walgreens and spend an hour. But 5 or 6, that's a lot. That's half of a day. So what could they have possibly been doing there is what I'm wondering. What were they waiting for? Were they waiting for something? Now, the investigator that was hired by Kylan's father has confirmed that both Kylan and Crystal were there during that time. Kylan was working, but Crystal came up there too. Obviously to visit Crystal, or Kylan, either on a break or just showed up or whatever. So they were both there. Maybe Crystal stopped in to visit Kylan on a break or something. This is what we know, okay? We also know that Brian and Gabby got into a fight here, and that it continued all the way to being pulled over. A fight that caused Brian to publicly put his hands on Gabby. We know both of them were complaining about being stressed and anxious and it being a rough day. Gabby seemed to be in full-on panic attack when they were pulled over. Looking at the body cam footage, you can just see, if you've ever, I don't know, I suffer from panic disorder, so I've had many panic attacks. Thank goodness a lot of it's under control now, but I still can get there. Just not as bad. I am on medication. So, and I have been for years. It looked to me like she was just in an ongoing panic attack. And it is a terrible feeling. And then to be alone, and then the only person that you are with that reminds you of home or that's home to you is yelling at you, being abusive towards you, screaming at you, locking you out of your van, and you guys aren't getting along, and you're here in the middle of nowhere, really, with no one to help you. So Kylan and Crystal lived in this area and knew it well. They were holistic van lifers. And while we don't know if they participated in any kind of holistic medication practices, if you know what I'm getting at, we do know that that is a popular van life thing to do, as well as a holistic way to take care of stress and anxiety. Okay? Everybody knows that. So Kylan and Crystal are very nice, friendly women, as they are described by everybody that knew them. Okay, so I am going to throw out a scenario. This is purely speculation, and I know I try to pride myself on not speculating about things. However, this is the only reason that I think could be tied. If this never happened, or something like this never happened, then I definitely do not think that it could be Brian that did this. So, here's the scenario. Pure speculation here, you guys, okay? If you don't want to hear it, then you can go bye-bye or fast forward or whatever. Just trying to be real. This is how I feel about this, and I feel like it totally makes sense. And none of this should be looked at as I'm thinking badly of any of these people, because I don't think there's anything wrong with this, okay? So, okay, imagine. Scenario. Gabby and Brian maybe stop in the store for some items, okay? Gabby is stressed out. Being a smaller store, it's that type of store where they have excellent customer service. Kylan greets Gabby, maybe asks if she needs help with anything. Maybe Gabby is looking for something to calm her down specifically. Maybe she's in that section of the store, you know, maybe looking at some essential oils, maybe looking at some supplements for calming stress and anxiety. Or maybe Kylan intuitively picks up on Gabby's vibe. And she's just sensing that this girl needs some help, or something's going on. Something's not right with this girl. Is she okay? And maybe she goes up to Gabby and asks, you know, can I help you with anything? You know, are you all right? Is everything okay? And, you know, maybe she says, well, yeah, but I'm just so stressed out. You know, my boyfriend and I are fighting and like blah, blah, blah. Maybe they already had this. And I'm hoping you guys know what I'm talking about, because I really don't want to say it a lot. But maybe they already had, and they ran out. So maybe they asked if they knew anyone. So I lost my place. Okay, so maybe they want something. Okay, they want a connection to come through. Or both, you know, maybe both of them, maybe just Gabby, maybe just Brian. Maybe nobody, okay? Maybe this never happened. So, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering over my words. I want to get this right. Okay. I just have feelings so strongly about this. So anyway, so both Gabby and Brian asked Kylan if they knew where they could find some. Kylan decides to help them, probably based off of Gabby's demeanor, and she calls Crystal, who comes to the store and asks her to help get them hooked up, you know. While waiting for this hookup, Brian has one of his episodes, a temper tantrum. Kylan and or Crystal maybe start getting concerned at this point. Maybe they're talking to Gabby. This is making Brian jealous or paranoid even. And he goes outside where Gabby follows him, and they begin to fight. Another scenario, leaving MJ completely out of it. Maybe Kylan just goes up to Crystal, or Kylan just goes up to Gabby and says, you know, hey, are you okay? You look a little, you know, whatever. He seems, you know, whatever. And they start talking. And Brian can sense that they're talking about him. And Brian gets pissed off and goes outside, and Gabby follows. Maybe, you know, then Crystal comes. So all three of them are talking and laughing, maybe, you know, and whatever. And the only reason why I bring the weed into it is because how long they were there. Like, it seemed like they would be waiting. They were waiting for something. And that's the only reason why I think that. Plus, it is prevalent in this type of lifestyle. It's prevalent in a lot of people's lifestyles now, because we know that it helps with some of these things that Gabby and Brian were suffering from, right? He is going off all crazy, like he needs to chill, right? He needs to calm down. So, and same as her. So maybe they already were using this and then they ran out. Maybe they thought, or maybe they offered to help. Oh, this, you know, you need something to chill out, you know, we can help you. Just hang on. Let me see if we can find someone, you know, and that's the only reason why I bring that up. Because they were there for so long. So we know that Brian locked Gabby out of the van. And he put her backpack out on the ladder rack in the back and got into the van and locked all the doors. And, he refused to let her in. She's going nuts, trying to like claw her way in, panicking. Maybe he was saying, go with your new friends. Go ahead, go with your new friends. You guys all want to, chat and whatever, and go, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. You got somewhere to go now. You got new friends now, I can just see it. Because, like, it's a typical situation with people fighting. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not just saying couples, friends even. When jealousy is involved, that's kind of a typical response. Oh, go with your new friends then. Oh, go with your new buddies, or go with your new boyfriend or your new girlfriend. Like, see ya, because you're angry and you're jealous, right? So all I know is that he was fucking pissed. That is clear. He was pissed. Something happened while they were there in that 5 and 6 hours that they were at the Moonflower. Something happened and something escalated, and it's like he was pissed, and then he just got more and more and more pissed. And so he's out of there. He's done. He's not waiting around anymore for anything. He's not going to sit here and watch this. In fact, he is just out of here. He will find his own. He will do whatever on his own. Goodbye, Gabby. Like, basically just being a dick. So she freaks out. Now, we will never know what happened in this 5 or 6 hour period at the Moonflower, because all 4 of these people are dead. It's just very interesting to me that, you have this proof that they were all there at the same time, and now they're all 4 dead, yet they supposedly didn't even know each other. It's just crazy. There was something. There had to have been something. So, yeah, I'm just like, this is not a coincidence, in my opinion. This is too close. But there, like I said, there's some other suspects. There is Timothy Boone, who is missing from Colorado, whose dog was found near that area. They have had a psychic, a very, very good one. Okay, her name is Reverend Donna Serafina. She has been linked to a lot of true crime, and she has provided tips that have led to discoveries of a lot of missing people and how they were killed and so on and so forth. So check her out about this, because she doesn't say anything about marijuana, but she does say some things about two suspects that are not Brian Laundre, and basically just what they look like. So she's saying it's definitely, and she asked so many times whether or not it was Brian, and it keeps saying no. Sometimes it would say yes, but most of the time it would say no, but that was the pendulum. So I don't know. If you want to go check her out, go check her out. So now, where were we? I apologize for that. That was my daughter calling and FaceTiming me. Believes there was also a wedding during that time. So this private investigator really thinks that someone has some dash cam footage or some kind of photos or maybe a drone footage or something that would give some clues. It's just they don't realize that they have it. So he's really asking, anyone who was in that area to look at any footage, if they had any recordings or anything that's in that area, to go back and check a lot of this stuff in hopes that they caught something. So unfortunately, this case is like cold already, and it's not even that old. And I watched a video the other day of a guy walking through downtown Moab, and he's like, there's no flyers, there's nothing. It's like the town is trying to keep it quiet because it's a tourist town and they don't want to look like that, They say they have like 10 or so suspects. Obviously, Brian Laundre can't be ruled out yet. But he is definitely not the only suspect. There are other suspects. Suspects from the area, suspects that are transient. But we know that their campsite was within minutes of each other. Brian is a creepy guy. And they did have interactions with each other, whether they realized it or not. So they may have even played pool with them at Woody's. So, because they did play pool with a young couple, I guess. So that's where we're at, right now. And that's all I have for you. But I'm definitely keeping a close eye on this. I will definitely update you with any updates. Please like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Any of my returning subscribers, thank you again. I love you guys so much. You really are helping me kind of get going here on YouTube. Obviously, I wish it was going quicker, but, I know I don't have the stuff that I need necessarily to edit properly and things like that, like a computer that's actually not ancient, a mic. This ring light is it's blinding me. It's too bright, but this is like the low setting. I'll get there. I will definitely get there, but I enjoy what I'm doing, and I hope that you enjoy it too. So talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Have a great week if I don't make another video until later, and